It's on this page, 2C, that says name lines and planes. We're adding it to here. So go to this page. I am not waiting on you, so you need to turn to this page and write this down. Does everyone understand? The first word that we need to define undefined terms. And we're going to give a definition to the word undefined terms, which is kind of humorous. So undefined terms are things that you need an example for, like points, lines, and planes. So the definition is can only be explained using examples. We're going to have a vocab quiz, so you're going to need to know these next week sometime. Friday's your first quiz, next Wednesday's your first test, and then after that you'll have a vocab quiz. The next word that we need to define is space. Does space ever end? No. So it is the boundless, which means it doesn't have bounds. 3D set of all points. So space is where we draw the things. Undefined terms are the things, and the things are points, lines, and planes. Does a line ever end?
No.
A line does not ever end. It goes on forever and ever and ever. So today what we're going to do is we're going to measure segments. What is the difference between a segment and a line?
A segment stops at a line.
Yes. Take a point. Are we ready?
No.
All right, here we go. So, line measure is page 3. This is 3A. And we need to write down our learning target for today. We need to put the date. Today is the 16th. Our learning target is super fancy today. It says, I can define the properties of line segments. And it's shining because I wrote on the tape, so I'm trying to hold it down so you can see. I can define the properties of line segments. All right, what's a line segment? It's where a line ends, right? So that's when it's called a segment. That's the difference. All right, so a line segment has two endpoints. And can we measure something if it ends?
No.
It can be measured. This is what a line segment looks like. Dun, 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 dun. Now, do we need to name those points? What would you like those points to be named?
A, B, 1, and 3.
A and B. So how do you think that we would name that line segment? Would we draw a line over the top of it? with arrows on the end, we would draw a segment. Why would we draw a segment? Because it stops. And what's the difference between drawing it like this and what we did yesterday? Arrows. Yes, take a point. Yesterday it had arrows. Today it does not. Now, we can measure this, correct? And if we measure it, we have a specific way that we write it. The measure of a segment is written as AB. That's it. No line above it, nothing beside it, just AB. That's a segment. That's the measure of a segment. So now, please take your handy dandy ruler and measure the segment that you created. Do you guys know how to measure stuff? Like, you know what the tick marks mean? Most of them are by 16ths, so do I need to show you? Alright, so the length of my segment, this is 1.5 right here. Does it stop at 1.5 or just short of it? 1.5 is right here. So my line segment's right here, right?
Yes.
So that's not 1.5. That's 1 7/16 of an inch. We are going to get different answers, and why?
Because we draw a line.
Because we all drew our segments different. So that's okay. So you tell me the measure of your line segment. If you don't know what your tick marks are, this is what they are. It starts at 0, halfway is a half, and then it ends at 1. It's by 16ths. You can use that. It's still the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. The first tick mark is 1/16, and then it's an 8, 3/16, then it's a quarter, 5/16, and it's 3/8. This is like everyday measurement that you use. Okay, don't go into construction or anything that you need to use a ruler. So we're going to be doing a lot of measurement here because it's geometry. And we're going to build things that need to know how to measure stuff because it's geometry. So we're going to need to know how to do this, right? You're going to need to know how to look at a ruler. So how did we measure our line segment? What did we do? With a ruler. Look at you guys go. Take a point. So use a ruler or the straight edge of a protractor. What's a protractor? The little half moon things? Those are called protractors. They make line segments and angles. Crazy. So now, what do you think I want you to do with these 3 line segments? Measure those. Go. Measure your line segments. Now, should these all be the same or different? No. Like everybody in the class. We should all have the same for MN because they're pre-drawn for you. Now, Raven, you said that you felt like yours might be different because you were using the protractor. It still has 16 ticks. So it's still the same thing. And if you get confused as to where it is, count over your ticks. So like for MN, you start at 0 and it's right here, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So that's 1 and then 12/16. But what does 12/16 reduce to? What goes into both of those? Bigger. It does. Bigger. 12 4. So what's 12 divided by 4? What's 12 divided by 4? I got 1 3/4 for MN. What did y'all get? Good. We should all get the same. Because there's 16 ticks in between each of them. So, baby, count the ticks between 0 and 1, or 1 and 2. There's 16 of them. Okay, get highly upset and see how much I care, baby. All right, EF. What do we get for EF? Did y'all get 1 1/8 inch? Okay. Everybody look at the board so I stop having to say the same thing 4 times, and let's stop talking. Let's try that. Crazy. Okay? So, I go from 0 to 1, and then I see that it goes past 1. So, I'm going to count from 1 to where this starts. Is everybody ready? So we're going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12 16ths. Then I reduce that to 3/4. Because what goes into both 12 and 16? That's okay. 4 goes into both of them, and that reduces to 3/4. Now let's look at EF. Do you see how it's 2 past the 1? That's 2 16ths. And what goes into both 2 and 16? 2. What's 2 divided by 2? 16 divided by 2? Magic. Does that help everybody? All right. Try HJ without me. All right, Abby, what'd you get for HJ? Look at you go. Yes, because it was a team effort on the end of that. All right, so that's all you have to do to measure. Can we handle that? What if I asked you to draw me a line segment that was 3 5/8? Could you do that? I'm going to have to show you an example on how to draw a line.
Oh, no, never mind.
2 5/8. All right, collinear. What does collinear mean?
Oh, 2 lines that.
What's collinear mean?
2 points.
2 or more points on the same line.
Between it. That thing is I'm trying to modify it. That thing is I just love
Your math grade is going to come between us if you don't stop.
That was a good one. Come on.
All right, so what do you think betweenness means?
It's in between, but not.
What's in between, Christian? Oh, tell me your question. It's okay. What's your question?
No, I was confused with where you guys
For the 3/8? Okay, that's okay. It's because we counted over, right? So the best way to think of it is every single one of them are going to have an odd number on top. The first little baby tick is 1/16, and then the second one is 3/16. Okay? This first little next size up is 1/8, so then that one would be 3/8. And that's where it comes from. If you need to count over, it's 6/16, which reduces to 3/8. It's okay, don't worry. I'm going to print out a little thing so that this helps y'all.
Thank you.
Because we struggle, and it's no judgment, all God's children. All right, so collinear, 2 or more points on the same line. Betweenness is point or points that rest on a line between two other points. Are you having a fit? Then get it together. So another word for betweenness is segment addition postulate, which is on our next page. It's the last thing we're going to do. It literally means what you think it means. You just add segments together to get a big segment. It's just something fancy that they say. So, if I drew you an example, let's go to the next page. This one right here. Please use your protractor or ruler and let's create a straight line and not a curve. And I want you to put A on one end of the segment and C on the other. If B was in between those, where would it go? It would go anywhere on the segment, but it has to be in between, right? My sweet potatoes. We're going to have to get new seats tomorrow because y'all can't just be quiet for us to finish the lesson. All right, so this says that point B is between A and C if they are collinear and this is a segment addition postulate. AB plus BC must equal to AC. They're in the middle. See how it's between the A and C? It's between it on the line and in our formula. So it is the literal definition of betweenness. So if you add them together, if you take this part and you add BC to it, you're supposed to get AC. If not, you've done something wrong and we need to evaluate life. Tonight, no homework. Where do scissors go? Where do scissors go?